Hello and welcome to IELTS Helping Hand. I hope you all are doing great. In this video, we're going to discuss one of the trickiest type of questions in IELTS listening, that is multiple choice questions. This video will be longer as compared to my previous videos because there is so much to discuss and I don't want to leave anything untouched. Firstly, we will discuss in which sections of your IELTS listening test multiple choice questions could possibly come. Then we will learn about different types of multiple choice questions with real examples. Thirdly, we will discuss all the possible traps IELTS use in multiple choice questions to confuse you. Then we will see how you can solve these questions with 100% accuracy. And lastly, we will do some practice test taken from real IELTS listening test. So without wasting any time, let's start it. These questions usually appear in section 2, 3 and sometimes in section 4 too. Section 2 is a monologue, which means there is only one speaker in the audio. If you get MCQs here, options are either short or medium in length but not too long, which make them easier as compared to MCQs of other sections. Section 3 is a dialogue between 2 or 3 speakers. The speakers could be 2 students and a teacher, a student and a teacher, or students only. Here, the options of multiple choice questions are mostly medium to long in length. So, it's difficult to read and make a sense of it in limited time. So, multiple choice questions are more difficult as compared to section 2. Now, section 4. Section 4 is a monologue, and it is the most difficult part of your IELTS listening test. If you get MCQs here, they would be the most trickiest. Now, we will discuss the types of multiple choice questions. There are 2 types of multiple choice questions. Number 1 is choose the correct letter A, B, or C. In such type of questions, there are 3 options, of which 1 is correct and 2 are wrong. Number of questions that you could face in your IELTS listening varies. It could be 2, 3, 4. In fact, I have seen few listening tests where all the 10 questions of section 2 were MCQs. 10 question means 10 marks. So if you are aiming band 9 in your IELTS listening, it's really important that you should learn how to solve these questions, and that's what we're gonna do in this video. On your screens, you can see examples of such type of questions. These questions are taken from a real IELTS listening test, and in this particular test, multiple choice questions appear in part 2. Now let's read it. Question 11 to 12. Choose the correct letter A, B, or C. Street play scheme. This is the title of the conversation. Question number 11. When did the street play scheme first take place? This is your question, and there are 3 options given, of which 1 is correct and 2 are incorrect. As you can see, as these questions appear in part 2, so the options are short or medium in length. Second type is choose 2 letters A to E. These questions could appear in pairs of 3, 2 or 1 question, and the options are more likely short or medium in length. You will have 5 options, of which 2 are correct and 3 are incorrect. In such type of questions, instead of 1, you have to give 2 answers. You can write these answers in any order on your answer sheet. For example, the correct answers for question number 11 and 12 are C and D. While transferring it on your answer sheet, you can write C as an answer of 11 and D as an answer of 12, or you can write it as D for 11 and C for 12. In short, you can write in any order but 1 letter per question. On your screens, you can see example of these questions. In this particular example of IELTS listening test, multiple choice questions appear in section 2. Let's read it. This is the title of the conversation, that is New Staff at Theatre. Questions 11 and 12. Choose 2 letters A to E. Which 2 changes have been made so far during the refurbishment of theatre? And here are 5 options given, 2 of which are correct and 3 are wrong. In this particular test, multiple choice questions appear in the pair of 3. There are certain things in this type of questions that can easily trip you up and leads to mistakes. So now we will look at some of these traps, and hopefully learning about these will improve your ability to identify the correct answer. Number 1 is hearing all the words. It is very likely that you will hear all the words given in the options in the audio. But as there is only one correct option, the details of the other 2 options will be different. Or the speaker gives the same detail as in the option but immediately correct himself or take it back. So listen the whole audio very carefully. Don't think the first option you hear is the correct answer. You can deal with this difficulty by listening carefully. Listen for the word but or however. This indicates that a negative is coming, which means it might not be the right answer. You can write on your question booklet. So use tick for right answer and cross for wrong answers. Tick or cross the options while listening because you will not hear the audio again. Second trap is paraphrases and synonyms. To make listening more difficult, sometimes instead of using the exact words in the audio, speaker use synonyms or paraphrase the options. So, it's really important that you know the synonyms of the words used in the question and options. Listen carefully and try to understand the audio Underline the keywords on the paper. If you are attempting a computer-based IELTS, then you can highlight. Third trap is order of options. Speaker may not necessarily give you the options in the same order as they appear on the paper. The speaker may talk about option B first, then move to option number A and C, or option A first, then B or C, and vice versa. You can deal with this problem by using tick cross technique. Tick for right answer and cross for wrong answer. Use these as you listen because you will not hear the audio again. This technique is really helpful, trust me. Sometimes you lost the track of audio or miss some information. Even then, you can find the correct answer or at least make a good guess because you have already crossed some of the options. Now, we will learn how to attempt both type of multiple choice questions with 100% accuracy without making any mistake. The techniques and methods to solve both type of multiple choice questions are same, but still I will attempt both one by one in front of you. First tip is try to read all the questions and options. The audio will give you 30 seconds to do that. Use these 30 seconds very efficiently and highlight the key words. Let's look at this example. The question is, which two is the keyword, changes have been made so far during the refurbishment of the theatre? So the main theme is you have to select two changes have been made, which means already done. Now let's read the options. Some rooms now have a different use. Some rooms, different use. These are the keywords. Second option, a different type of seating has been installed. Different seating installed. Option C, an elevator has been installed. Elevator installed. D option, the outside of the building has been repaired. Outside building repaired. Last option is extra seats have been added. Extra seats added. So you see, it's very easy to highlight the main ideas or the main words. Now I will play the audio and we will try to solve it together.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16. Hi, great to see you. I'm Jodie, and I'll be looking after both of you for the first month you're working here at the Amersham Theatre. I'll tell you something about the theatre now, then take you to meet two of the other staff. It's an old building, and it's been modernised several times. In fact, as you can see, we're carrying out a major refurbishment at the moment. The interior has just been repainted, and we're about to start on the exterior of the building.
Did you guys notice something? She is using synonyms. She said the interior, which means the inside of the building, has just been repainted, and we are about to start on the exterior, which is the outside of the building. Option D says the outside of the building has been repaired. But the audio clearly says that they are done with the interior and will start the exterior or the outside of the building. So this option number D, is incorrect. So I will use tick and cross technique and cross it. I'm going to play this part again for you. So listen carefully.
Hi, great to see you. I'm Jodie, and I'll be looking after both of you for the first month you're working here at the Amersham Theatre. I'll tell you something about the theatre now, then take you to meet two of the other staff. It's an old building, and it's been modernised several times. In fact, as you can see, we're carrying out a major refurbishment at the moment. The interior has just been repainted, and we're about to start on the exterior of the building. That'll be a big job. The work's running over budget, so we've had to postpone installing an elevator. I hope you're happy running up and down stairs. When...
Option C is incorrect because the audio clearly says the installation of elevator has been postponed. This means it's something that would be done in future. So option number C is incorrect too. Let's continue.
When the theatre was built, people were generally slimmer and shorter than now, and the seats were very close together. We've replaced them with larger seats, with more legroom. This means fewer seats in total, but we've taken the opportunity to install seats that can easily be moved to create different...
Option E, which says extra seats have been added, is also incorrect because the audio clearly says the seats were very close together. We have replaced them with larger seats with more leg room. This means fewer seats in total. Fewer means less. Let's continue.
Replace them with larger seats with more legroom. This means fewer seats in total, but we've taken the opportunity to install seats that can easily be moved to create different acting spaces. We've also turned a few storerooms over to other purposes, like using them for meetings.
Option A and B are correct because the audio says they have installed seats that can easily be moved to create different acting spaces. That's what option B also says. And then the speaker says we also turn some old store rooms over to other purposes, which is what option A says. In this question, the examiner is using two tricks to confuse you. Number one, she is using synonyms instead of same words. Secondly, the options are not appearing in the audio in the same sequence. The speaker first addressed option number D, then I think C, E, and then so on. So the tick cross technique is really helpful. You should try it and practice it. Now we will do the other two questions. Firstly, we will read them and highlight the main words. Then I will play the audio till end. Try to solve it with me. Which two facilities does the theatre currently offers to public? A. Rooms for hire. B. Backstage tours. C. Hire of costumes. D. Bookshop. E. A cafe. Choose two letters, A and E. Which two workshops does the theatre currently offers? Sound, acting, making puppets, makeup, lighting. Now we will try to attempt these questions together. I will play the audio.
Turned a few storerooms over to other purposes, like using them for meetings. We try hard to involve members of the public in the theatre. One way is by organising backstage tours, so people can be shown round the building and learn how a theatre operates. These are proving very popular. What we're finding is that people want to have lunch or a cup of coffee while they're here. So we're looking into the possibility of opening a cafe in due course. We have a bookshop which specialises in books about drama, and that attracts plenty of customers. Then there are 2 large rooms that will be decorated next month, and they'll be available for hire, for conferences and private functions, such as parties. We're also considering hiring out costumes to amateur drama clubs. Now I want to tell you about our workshops. We recently started a program of workshops that anyone can join. Eventually, we intend to run courses in acting, but we're waiting until we've got the right people in place as trainers. That's proving more difficult than we'd expected. There's a big demand to learn about the technical side of putting on a production. And our lighting workshop has already started with great success. We're going to start one on sound next month. A number of people have inquired about workshops on makeup, and that's something we're considering for the future. A surprise success is the workshop on making puppets. We happen to have someone working here who does it as a hobby, and she offered to run a workshop. It was so popular, we're now running them every month.
You see, multiple choice question is not that difficult once you know the right technique. Now, we will do some practice test of other type of multiple choice questions for the sake of clarity. Now, on your screens you can see an example of multiple choice questions in which you have 3 options and one of them is right answer. The title is Street Play Scheme. Let's do it.
Part 2. You will hear a woman called Alice Riches talking on the radio about a scheme which involves closing streets to traffic to allow children to play. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
My guest on the show today is Alice Riches, who started the Street Play scheme where she lives in Beechwood Road. For those of you that don't already know, street play involves local residents closing off their street for a few hours so that children have a chance to play in the streets safely. She started it in her own street, Beechwood Road, and the idea caught on. And there are now street play schemes all over the city. So when did you actually start the scheme, Alice?
Well, I first had the idea when my oldest child was still a toddler. So that's about 6 years ago now. But it took at least 2 years of campaigning before we were actually able to make it happen. So the scheme's been up and running for 3 years now. We'd love to be able to close our road for longer, for the whole weekend, from Saturday morning until Sunday evening, for example. At the moment, it's just once a week. But when we started, it was only once a month. But we're working on it.
So what actually happens when Beechwood Road is closed?
We have volunteer wardens, mostly parents, but some elderly residents too, who block off our road at either end. The council have provided special signs, but there's always a volunteer there to explain what's happening to any motorists. Generally, they're fine about it. We've only had to get the police involved once or twice. Now, I should explain that the road isn't completely closed to cars, but only residents' cars are allowed. If people really need to get in or out of Beechwood Road, it's not a problem, as long as they drive at under 20 kilometres per hour. But most people just decide not to use their cars during this time, or they park in another street. The wardens are only there to stop through traffic.
So can anyone apply to get involved in street play?
Absolutely. We want to include all kids in the city, especially those who live on busy roads. It's here that demand is greatest. Obviously, there isn't such demand in wealthier areas where the children have access to parks or large gardens, or in the suburbs where there are usually more places for children to play outside. I'd recommend that anyone listening who likes the idea should just give it a go. We've been surprised by the positive reaction of residents all over the city. And that's not just parents. There are always a few who complain, but they're a tiny minority. On the whole, everyone is very supportive and say they're very happy to see children out on the street, even if it does get quite noisy.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation,
So you see, by using tick and cross technique, solving multiple choice questions is very easy. While solving question number 13, I lost the track of audio and missed some of the information, but as I was using tick and cross technique, I crossed the options which I heard later, which were wrong too, and I got my answer, which is option number C. This test is going to be our last practice test. The reason we are doing this is because these multiple choice questions appear in the third part of your IELTS listening test, and the given options are longer than the options of section 2. Let's do it together.
before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
What was the problem with most of these studies, do you think?
I think it was because, in a lot of cases, data was collected from only one sibling per family, who rated him or herself and his or her siblings at the same time.
Some of the old research into the relationship between birth order and academic achievement has been proved to be accurate, though. Performances in intelligence tests decline slightly from the eldest child to his or her younger siblings. This has been proved in lots of recent studies.
Yes, although what many of them didn't take into consideration was family size. The more siblings there are, the likelier the family is to have a low socio-economic status, which can also account for differences between siblings in academic performance.
The oldest boy might be given more opportunities than his younger sisters, for example.
Exactly.
But the main reason for the marginally higher academic performance of oldest children is quite surprising, I think. It's not only that they benefit intellectually from extra attention at a young age, which is what I would have expected. It's that they benefit from being teachers for their younger siblings by verbalizing processes.
Right. And this gives them status and confidence, which again contributes in a small way to better performance. So, would you say sibling rivalry has been a useful thing for you?
I think so. My younger brother was incredibly annoying, and we fought a lot. But I think this has made me a stronger person. I know how to defend myself. We had some terrible arguments, and I would have died rather than apologize to him. But we had to put up with each other, and most of the time we coexisted amicably enough.
Yes, my situation was pretty similar. But I don't think having two older brothers made me any less selfish. I was never prepared to let my brothers use any of my stuff.
That's perfectly normal, whereas sometimes...
Well, to be very honest, I think these questions were tough as compared to the previous ones, mostly because the options were really long and it was very hard to read all the options before the audio actually starts. But I think we did pretty well. I like to share a tip with you guys, and I can guarantee you that if you practice this, you will be able to read and cover all the questions within the time. So, the tip is at the start of your listening test, the speaker will give you some very basic instructions like write the answers while listening, or extra time will be given at the end of the audio to transfer your answers from question booklet to answer sheets, and etc. If you did some practice tests at home before the actual test, you will know these instructions. So there is no point in listening them again. Use this time and read the questions and options of multiple choice questions. Listening test is all about listening and writing simultaneously and managing your time efficiently. You can improve your listening skills by listening to audiobooks. They are an excellent source of learning new vocabulary. You can also watch movies because they have different accents and it really helps in developing your listening skills. That's all for today. I hope this video helps you in your IELTS journey. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Good luck.